Next, bringing you the latest from her corner of the streets, it's Sonnie's Corner with your host, Sonnie Johnson.
Every time you hear that beat drop, Sirius XM Patriot Channel 125, you know it's a good day, people. Come on, you know. The only show where you have to turn your volume down, you know. It's time for Sonnie's Corner. Hello, all of you beautiful, 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 beautiful. Okay, yeah, it's going to be that kind of show. Beautiful, 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 beautiful people. Y'all know what that means. You could have chose to be anywhere in the world right now, but you are here with us. And from the bottom of all of our hearts, we appreciate it. Welcome to Sonnie's Corner. All right, people. Can't wait. Bring you fire conversation coming up at the top of the second hour. Like I said, I really am anxious to move more into being a political junkie as we come into this new political season. So finding the balance, we're going to be working on that here, but we're going to actually have some real good fire political conversation and economic conversation coming up top of the second hour. Charles Payne, the host of Making Money with Charles Payne, will be here. Stay tuned for that. All right, so I had a lot, and it was kind of tricky for me to pick what I wanted to actually talk about this week. So this is what I came up with because I think it's most important to understand, right? The idea of the double tap, right? When I thought about it earlier this week, it made me laugh, and I was like, okay, if it's making me laugh, then let's see if we can turn it into some content, right? Now, everybody knows that Democrats are going more than likely, every indication, are going to get decimated in November, right? But of course, I have to be the auntie that's like, no, sit down and eat your vegetables and remind you that, like, you've won nothing. You do understand that, right? After the election is over, gas prices are not going to come down. Like, after the election is over, the debt is not going to come down. They're spending, like, nothing is going to change. The border is not going to be closed because he's doing that with the phone and the pen and executive order. Like, nothing is going to change. You have won nothing. Okay, Sonnie, we took the first step. You've won nothing. This is immature behavior to start thinking you can run around claiming scalps like you've done all of this before. Stop it. We have reached a maturity level. We should not be doing this. There is an exception, though. I want to give a shout out to all you mamas and daddies and aunties and grandmas and all of you that decided you've had enough. You activated and you went and you took over your school boards. Kudos to you. Claps to you. Now, I will say, again, it's funny that you realize that local government is where the power is when it comes to situations you deem important. But when I consistently talk about the need to make sure that those local areas are covered in my community by actual party apparatus, you don't seem to understand why that's important. So I kind of get upset when yeah, you get it. But I digress. Kudos to all you that went out and activated. There's a lesson in there to be learned for the rest of you. All right. Sonnie's Corner, we have reached the point where I don't really feel like I have to qualify everything while we're having our conversations, right? The last few weeks with no bees in my bonnet, me being able to kind of just be chill, it's been absolutely lovely. I've actually absolutely adored it, right? But this week is going to be different because this isn't one of those subjects. I am getting ready to talk about your Black Republicans, and I know what that does to you. So, yeah, this is me warning you up front. You know, I like to do it, and I'm going to warn you up front, and, well, for some of you, right? some of you, those of you that will still allow yourself to be triggered, you're going to be triggered. Upfront warning. Now, if you've been listening to Sonnie's Corner and you've really been absorbing what we're saying here, you're really letting it sink in, all you're going to hear is more clarity as to why the Republican Party loses the black vote by 90% for over 60 years. And how continuing to do the same things over and over, expecting different results, means you are the literal definition of insanity. You're not insane. You're over here on Sonnie's Corner, right? So shout out to those of you who won't get triggered. Sonnie Corner loves you. You know that. Let's rock. All right. So what is the double tap? Right? What is the double tap? I got it from Zombieland. Now, you might say, well, they always tell us blah. Okay, I get it. Whatever. We're going to use the reference point of Zombieland. You don't assume that the zombie is dead after a single shot. You double tap. You know what I'm saying? You add that second shot just to remove all doubt because you're smart enough to realize you're dealing with a zombie here. What the right needs right now is a double tap. Okay? Now, the first tap is what Democrats have done to themselves. Seriously, what more could you do? Biden, Kamala, inflation, gas, like what else could you do? What could you possibly add to what Democrats have already done? There's nothing you could do that kind of makes what they've already done on their own accord worse. You do not actually have to help them. So what that leaves is an opportunity for you to attack other weak spots on the battlefield. This is what smart people do. Now, one of the weakest spots for Democrats right now is with Black America. I will repeat, as I have told you continuously, Democrats are not scared about voter depression. You don't hear those cries anymore. They are definitely afraid of voter depression. Black people just not showing up to the polls. So what does that mean for the right? It means that the right has a greater chance to win if black voters don't show up, because black voters vote for Democrats. So if they don't show up, Republicans win. Your Republicans don't want or don't fight for the black vote. They are satisfied with a depressed black vote. A win is a win, right? And I want to say, you must understand that, like, get that across to you, but you understand that. Majority of you have used that talking point yourself. You understand the reality of it. You know it to be true, but you want to fight about it because if it's actually said out loud, you sound kind of, it makes you see yourself if you actually say it out loud. The way I'm placing it, right? Yeah, I get it. So I want you to admit it. The reason I like for you to admit it, so when I go into the next part, you actually feel it. If you're still in a state of denial, you're not going to get the full impact. But if you are one of those people who understand and don't mind, say a win is a win. We don't actually need black people. We just don't need black people to show up. If you are one of those people, admit it to yourself. Go ahead. Nobody else knows, just you. Let's get to the next part. See? Being satisfied with the situation as it stands, you people, that isn't a double tap. That isn't how you assure that all of this ends. See, the zombie is going to get up and he's going to bite you in the leg because you didn't double tap. You are like the first person in the movie to die. And I'm not talking about like the first of the main characters. No, you're like opening credit first of the movie to die. Do you get that? You understand? Like, okay, your Republicans will continuously say to you, and this is why you feel the way you feel, all we need is a couple percentage points around the edges. We don't have to do too much. We don't have to give too much. We don't have to spend too much. We don't have to engage too much. Just a couple of percentage points around the edges, which is the equivalent of shooting the zombie in the knee. Again, that's opening credits behavior. You're not going to make it to the end of the movie. You're going to be that one that the main character walks past as you lay on the ground turning into a zombie because you got bit in the leg. And they laugh at you over the fact that you wasted a bullet. In times like this, you don't waste bullets. Now is the time to double tap. That means you have to make a choice. Your two options are the current black prototype that has lost the black vote by 90% for over 60 years, that only shoots for a couple percentage points around the edges and continuously lets the zombie get back up to bite you in the leg again. I wanted to use another part of the anatomy, but try to be family friendly. Or a new generation of black conservatives that are looking for a complete and total takeover, a generational ideological change. Who, I can promise you, given the chance at a double tap, you think we're going to hesitate? And we're not shooting for the leg. Now, of course, your next question, because I know you so well, can't you all just get along because you want your favorite talking points person and you want me too? No. And it's not me that made that impossible. Your Republican and conservative apparatus, whatever you want to call it, that little insulation that keeps you in your bubble, they have made it impossible. They are the ones who have decided that we don't fit their conservative Republican business model. They made that decision. Again, it was not us. Because to them, it's not about winning the black vote. It's not about fire conversations. It's not about voluntary association. It's not about conservatism equally applied. It's not about being effective. It's not about building something real, especially when you can count on voter depression. The fact that blacks are so fed up that they just don't show up. Especially when you have that, because now their business model becomes just a simple matter of protection from the left's cries of racism. That is it. That is all. A business model that uses black faces as a shield. Nothing more. That's all they're interested in. What was the name? What was the phrase that your right came up with? Cosmetic diversity. That's it, cosmetic diversity. Now, of course, you're getting mad at me again. Like, why do you have to bring this stuff up? What do we have to talk about? Like, it is so annoying how well I know conservatives. Because you want what you want. This is why I laugh. This is why I ridicule. Because at this point, you are now insulting my intelligence. And, sorry, did you forget who I am? Did you forget uppity black girl? Like, I'm not going to let that stand. It's not going to happen, especially not here on Sonnie's Corner. See, you have to get this. If I let that stand, then those people out there are going to start thinking that white supremacy is real. We worked real hard to kind of disprove that, right? What am I supposed to let it fester and come on? Didn't we take too many steps to go backwards? Yeah, no. I won't let it stand. You will talk about it and have these conversations and see it for what it is. But what's even funnier right now is everybody knows. I'm forcing you into a conversation that everybody else knows. There is an obvious split on the right when it comes to Black America. Wait a minute. Do everybody know? If you don't know, and there's so many of you, can I really say everybody? You, at this point, I'm just making fun of you. And I don't feel bad for doing it because it's funny. Why is it that everybody else knows but you? Do you care that you are constantly made to look like you're unserious and you are worth ridicule by your own thought leaders who pick and choose for you? Does any of that bother you, or do you only have anger for me for pointing it out? Here, I'll give you an example. Let's go ahead and play part one of The Black Republican.
Professor Corey Fields, who's written this book, Black Elephants in the Room, The Unexpected Politics of African American Republicans. You write that tension between the race-blind and race-conscious approaches is the defining feature of African American Republican politics. What does that mean?
So that's drawn on this idea that all black Republicans aren't the same, right? So one of the things with the book I wanted to do is to say black Republicans themselves aren't a monolith, and that they approach this linking blackness and republicanness in different ways. And so there are two strategies. One is this sort of colorblind strategy that says essentially, race doesn't matter, right? Like, I'm black, but that's not all that I am. And when it comes to thinking about, what's best tax policy, I don't think about that as a black person.
Go ahead. Clap. Get your agreement out. Tell me that's how you feel. Tell me if I was like that, the country would be better. Go ahead. You finished? You got that out? Okay. Can you play abstract for me?
You start out in 1954 by saying nigger, nigger, nigger. By 1968, you can't say nigger. That hurts you. It backfires. So you say stuff like force busing, states' rights, and all that stuff. And you're getting so abstract now. You're talking about cutting taxes and all of these things you're talking about are totally economic things, and the byproduct of them is blacks get hurt worse than whites. And subconsciously, maybe that is part of it. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that if it is getting that abstract and that coded, that we're doing away with the racial problem one way or the other. You follow me? Because obviously sitting around saying we want to cut taxes, we want to cut this, and we want is much more abstract than even the busing thing. And a hell of a lot more abstract than nigger. So any way you look at it, race is coming on the back burner.
So I'm supposed to look at what you're saying and say what? I don't look at it like, oh, this is brilliant. No, I look at it like, oh, their plan worked on you. They got so abstract that they could talk about tax cuts and you wouldn't think it had anything to do with race. They know better. They're smart. They know better. But they also know that they can't run around saying the obvious, because the obvious will get you in trouble. So no, they go and they become so abstract that they're talking to you about taxes and you think it has nothing to do with race. And here are your black faces say, well, when we're talking about taxes, it has nothing to do with race. And I'm supposed to think that that's intellectually superior? Are you kidding? The only reason you think it is because you don't know the other part. I'm sitting here knowing that this is what they set out to do. So when I hear you repeating, when I hear you being a sheep, when I hear you regurgitating a plan that they put into place in the 60s, like it's some kind of revolutionary thought, and you wonder why I don't get what am I supposed to do with that? Other than to tell you their plan worked. Congratulations, you are indoctrinated. Congratulations, you've bought into the abstract. Congratulations, your mind is easily malleable. Like, what am I supposed to say to you? What badge of honor do you want? Because you've been told a lie and I'll check you on it. Yeah, okay. That's not going to happen. But understand what it is you're asking of people like me when we know better. Just because your people didn't tell you better. Just because they didn't share information with you that got you prepared to know what you were talking about, you want to be mad with us for giving you that information. How does that work? Right? That's not what we believe in over on these parts, right? And I'll also say this whole idea of the colorblind. There are no colorblind Republicans. There are only those that talk about race when it suits them and then feign righteousness when it doesn't. If you talk about black culture, black history, black empowerment, then you want to be colorblind, colorblind, colorblind. Black on black crime. Oh yeah, I know. Them black people need to, now you see, okay. The other things you were colorblind, okay. And your black faces, they're no different. I'm not black. I'm an American. I'm not black. I'm an American. Let Joe Biden say if you didn't vote for me, you ain't black. All of a sudden, these Americans get blackity black. And you're right there cheering them on. And we're not supposed to see that. Go ahead with part 2 of the Black Republican, please.
Right. There's an alternative approach that race-conscious black Republicans use, which is to say, yes, I'm black, and it's important to me personally, and it's important to me politically. It's just that I think the best thing for black people is conservative politics. So one you can think about as race doesn't matter. The other one you could think about as black power through conservative principles, right? And so the tensions between these two factions, if you will, of black Republicans tend to animate a lot of the politics. So imagine you have these two different groups, and you try to run an organization, right? You can see the fireworks are going to fly, right? Because from basic things of like, what is our mission? Who should we be talking to, right? Become incredibly challenging when you have these two different orientations to understanding the relationship between race and politics, right? Similarly, when you think about the ability to build alliances, right? Particularly with white Republicans, these two groups have very different experiences of that. So, the colorblind black Republicans have much more positive relations with, party gatekeepers, white party gatekeepers, than the sort of race-conscious group. And so this in itself produces a new set of tensions among black Republicans themselves, right? So one group is getting a lot of attention and adoration, and the other group is, experiencing getting sidelined, and it's that frustration. So these, the divisions between these two groups, I do think, pretty much center a lot of the political experience of black Republicans.
Everybody knows it. They talk about it. You're just not in the circles when they talk about it. They discuss it. You're just not there when they discuss it. And they choose. And they choose the prototype. They choose the good black. And those are the ones you are introduced to. That is your cosmetic diversity. And then people like us, we are reduced to being jealous because we're not getting attention. Because we're not getting adoration. Because you aren't clapping like trained seals for us. Yet that's not what we ask of you. We ask you to learn. We ask you to grow. We ask you to become a visitor within our space. We ask you to choose voluntary association. We ask you to have fire conversations. We ask you to bring about a renaissance. I don't remember us ever asking you to clap for us, to cheer for us, to adore us. I don't think I put off the vibe that that's what I'm going for. But that's what we get reduced to. Just people that are mad because we're not getting the attention. Not people that are mad because progressivism is death, poverty, and destruction and is ravaging our communities and we want it to stop. We're not mad because we want conservatism equally applied, that we actually believe conservatism is the answer to progressivism. And if we get these ideologies into our communities, we can have an ideological change that brings growth and prosperity to places that haven't experienced it since Democrats put their knee on our necks. It's not any of those things that cause us frustration. No. It's that you don't cheer us enough. Do you believe that? Do you seriously believe that? Like I said, you have a choice. The good black or the bad black. I'll clear up those choices when we come back in a moment.